Hello, my dear friends. Today I want to talk about something that many parents quietly struggle with once their children become adults. Have you ever felt like you're no longer important in your children's eyes? Like they no longer listen, no longer respect you the way they used to, despite all the sacrifices you've made for them? That feeling, it hurts, doesn't it? And if you've ever been in that situation, please know you are not alone. Today I'll be sharing with you 5 things we should never say to our grown children, because they can instantly destroy the respect we've worked so hard to build. These phrases, even if said unintentionally in a moment of anger or disappointment, can create a deep wedge between you and your children. And over time, the love you've nurtured may slowly begin to fade. Imagine this. You're sitting with your child and you say something straight from the heart, but instead of bringing you closer, it pushes them further away. Have you ever thought that your words, though well-meaning, might actually be breaking the bond between you and your child? No one wants that to happen, right? But it still can if we're not careful about how we communicate. So let me ask you, have you ever wondered if something you said may have hurt your relationship with your child? Take a moment to think about the words we use. Are there phrases that may have made you feel like you lost their respect? And more importantly, are you ready to make a change to bring back the warmth in your family? In this video, I'll show you the 5 dangerous phrases we must avoid at all costs. And don't worry, I'll also give you positive, loving alternatives you can say instead. Words that build bridges, not walls, so your home stays full of love and respect. Let's take this important journey together, one small step at a time. But before we dive in, I invite you to pause for a moment. Sit down somewhere cozy, sip on your favorite tea or coffee, and take this time for yourself. What we're about to talk about could not only change the way you speak with your children, but also bring you powerful lessons on how to live with more happiness and more self-respect. So are you ready? Leave me a comment below with a phrase you feel you've learned today, or something you're planning to change in the way you speak with your kids. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss another message that might make your life a little bit better. Let's get started. 1. You owe me because I did everything for you. Have you ever felt like you've spent your entire life caring for your children, sacrificing everything for them, only to feel them slowly drifting away? You gave them everything: your sweat, your sleepless nights, your unconditional love. And now, deep down, you long for just a little appreciation, a simple thank you from your children. But when you say, "You owe me because I did everything for you," you unknowingly turn that love into a debt, something your children never asked to repay. You're no longer the beloved parent they admire and respect. Instead, you become someone waiting to be paid back. And that feeling, it cuts deep, doesn't it? Like an invisible blade pressing on your heart. But the painful truth is, when those words come out, you won't get the gratitude you hoped for. Instead, your children start to withdraw. They no longer feel close. They stop feeling your love as unconditional. So have you ever considered that it might be those very words that are creating distance between you and your children? Instead of turning your love into a debt, let your children feel that your love was a gift, one they never had to repay. Try saying, "I'm proud of you and who you've become, and I treasure all the memories we've made together." That's not a demand. It's a reminder that love is never about keeping score. You didn't love them to get something back. You loved them simply because seeing them grow up happy, healthy, and free was enough. And when you change how you speak, you don't just rebuild your relationship. You rebuild respect in the most natural and heartfelt way. I remember Margaret, a devoted mother who poured her heart into raising her children. But over the years, her unspoken expectations quietly built up. She started feeling that her kids were no longer close. One day in frustration, she said, "I did everything for you. Now you owe me." Though her children loved her deeply, they began to pull away. They shared less. They connected less. Margaret came to realize that it wasn't their love that had faded. It was the weight of her expectations that strained the bond. Only when she let go of the need to be repaid and instead appreciated the memories they had created, did everything begin to shift. 2. I told you so. Our children don't always make perfect decisions, And sometimes when we see them making a mistake, it's so tempting to push back, isn't it? It's like a voice in your head is shouting, "I told you so." It feels satisfying for a moment, because deep down, you want them to see that you were right. But have you ever realized that those very words could be crushing their confidence? When you say, "I told you so," you're not just proving a point, you're also unintentionally taking away your child's chance to learn from their own mistakes. You become someone who pulls them under just when they're trying to learn how to swim. That one phrase can chip away at their trust and make them hesitate to come to you in the future. Ask yourself this: when your child makes a mistake, do they feel judged or supported? Have you ever thought that each criticism might be building a wall between you and your child? Hearing "I told you so" over and over can make them feel trapped, like they have no room to grow, no space to fall and rise again on their own terms. Instead of saying "I told you so," try saying, "I know this didn't turn out the way you hoped, but I'm here for you." That one sentence can make a world of difference. It tells your child they're not alone. It gives them the space to reflect, to grow, to build resilience, without feeling like they've failed in your eyes. Never forget, every mistake is a stepping stone on the path to maturity, and you can be the guide who walks beside them, not the judge who stands above them. I remember John, a father of two. He used to say, "I told you so," every time his children made a mistake. He meant well. He thought it was his way of showing them how to do better. But one day after his son made a serious error, John noticed something had changed. His son began pulling away. John realized his words were no longer building a bridge. They were building an invisible wall between them. That moment was a wake-up call. He knew he had to change his approach. So instead of correcting, he began simply being there, listening, encouraging, supporting. And slowly, the bond between father and son began to heal. His son started opening up again, not because he had to, but because he felt safe to. 3. You'll never understand because you're not a parent. Have you ever found yourself saying this phrase? Maybe in a moment of frustration, when you felt misunderstood, when your children just couldn't seem to grasp everything you've been through in life? It can feel like you're standing between two worlds. On one side, the world of parents, filled with pain, sacrifice, and years of quiet endurance. And on the other, your grown children who have never lived that experience. This phrase, though it may come from a place of love, unintentionally shuts the door on any chance for connection. When you say, "You'll never understand because you're not a parent," you're not just closing off a conversation, you're suggesting that their emotions, their struggles, aren't valid enough to matter to you. Ask yourself, have you unknowingly built a wall between you and your children? A wall you thought was there to protect your own pain, but instead it made your children feel disrespected, unheard, unseen. And that wall doesn't bring you closer, it pushes them further away. They start to feel dismissed, as if their feelings don't matter. That's a hard place to come back from. Instead of saying, "You'll never understand because you're not a parent," try this. "I know this might be hard to understand right now, but I'd love to share with you what I've learned from my experiences. Let's talk about it together." This kind of response doesn't just invite dialogue, it invites understanding. It tells your children that you're open, that you're willing to connect, to share without judging. And instead of building a wall, you build a bridge, one that they can walk across willingly. I remember Sarah, a mother who lost her husband at a young age. The years of loneliness left her feeling like no one could ever truly understand the depth of her pain. Many times she told her children, "You'll never understand because you're not a parent." And slowly those words created distance. Her children began to feel that their own struggles didn't matter. They couldn't understand why their mother was so closed off, and that emotional gap only grew wider. But everything changed when Sarah realized she didn't have to compare experiences. She could simply share her life lessons. She began opening up not to prove a point, but to connect. She helped her children see that every generation faces its own challenges. And when she did that, something beautiful happened. Her children began coming to her more often, not just for advice, but to talk, to connect. The family grew closer than ever before. 4. I don't care about your opinion, I'm your parent. Have you ever felt exhausted when your children wouldn't listen to you? When they made choices you didn't agree with? And in a moment of frustration, you blurted out, I'm your parent, you have to listen to me. It may feel like you're reinforcing your role and authority in the family, but in reality, you might be unintentionally dismissing your child's worth. Have you ever thought that those words act like an invisible wall being built between two generations? When you say, I don't care about your opinion, I'm your parent, you take away your child's right to be heard, to have a voice in the very relationship you share. It's like slamming a door in their face, leaving them feeling unseen, unvalued, and unimportant in their own family. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, does your child feel dismissed every time they try to express a thought or emotion? Do they feel like their opinion never really matters? And how deeply does that wound go? If this dynamic continues, your child may not only stop sharing with you, they may begin turning elsewhere, seeking out someone who will truly listen and care. Instead of saying, I don't care about your opinion, try saying, I value your thoughts, even if we don't always agree. Let's talk about this together. That simple shift doesn't just open the door to conversation. It sends a powerful message of respect. It tells your child they are seen, heard, and free to speak their mind, even when their views differ from yours. And that, right there, is the foundation of mutual respect. I remember David, a father of three. Every time his children had a different opinion, he would shut it down with the words, I'm your parent, I know better. He thought he was guiding them, but what his children felt was the opposite. They felt their voices didn't matter. Slowly, they stopped sharing. They turned inward. But everything began to change when David made a choice, not to control, but to listen. Instead of judging, he started hearing his children out. And over time, something beautiful happened. His children stopped retreating and started opening up. They began coming to him with their thoughts and feelings, seeking not just advice, but connection. Their relationship was no longer a struggle between authority and obedience. It became a true bond, built on love, respect, and the simple act of listening. 5. You'll regret this when you're older. Have you ever felt like you're the only one in the family who truly sees the bigger picture, especially when your children make choices you believe are mistakes? You worry about their future, and almost instinctively, you want to warn them. You'll regret this when you're older. It may sound like wise, experienced advice, but in reality, this phrase carries a heavy weight you might not even realize. When you say it, you're not only predicting their failure, you're also unintentionally suggesting that they're not smart enough to understand the seriousness of their choices. It's like you're painting a dark, hopeless path ahead of them, without giving them the chance to walk through their own challenges and learn. Let me ask you this. Does this phrase make your children feel like they've been backed into a corner of doubt? They may feel like you don't trust them, like you've already decided they're going to fail. Instead of feeling supported, they feel discouraged. When you keep saying, you'll regret it, you're not just warning them. You're closing the door on their growth. You're building a wall they might never be able to climb over. So have you ever considered a gentler way to speak, one that gives them space to feel heard, supported, and trusted? Try saying, I know you're making the best decision you can with what you understand right now, and I'll always be here to support you. That simple shift in words doesn't just ease your worry, it empowers your child. It reminds them that they're allowed to make choices, to learn, to grow on their own terms. Instead of throwing out warnings, you open up an honest, respectful dialogue, one that invites reflection and self-awareness, not shame. I remember Helen, a mother of 2 grown children. She used to say, you'll regret this when you're older, every time her children made a choice she didn't agree with. But eventually she realized her worry was actually pushing them away. So she changed her approach. Instead of judging, she began saying, I know you're doing what feels right for you, and I'll always be here to support you. And everything shifted. Her children no longer felt judged. They felt understood. They started coming to her more often, opening up about their lives, their decisions, their fears. The connection between them became stronger than ever. Not because Helen had all the answers, but because she gave her children space to discover their own. So we've just explored 5 phrases that, whether said intentionally or not, can quietly erode the respect between you and your children. Every word we speak can either be a bridge that brings us closer or a wall that pushes us apart. And it's so important to understand. The words we use aren't just sounds. They are powerful messages that go straight to the hearts of our children. Today, you've learned how to shift your language to rebuild respect, so your children no longer feel like a debt to be repaid, but instead like individuals you love unconditionally. You've learned how to become a companion on their journey, not a critic from the sidelines. And most importantly, you've realized that to create a lasting, healthy relationship, we must choose to listen and understand rather than judge too quickly. But remember, this is only the beginning. You've taken the first step in a powerful journey, and every single day from here is a new chance to reconnect, to rebuild trust, and to strengthen the love between you and your children. Thank you for spending this time with me today, reflecting on these valuable lessons. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever said one of these phrases to your child without realizing the impact? And what's one thing you're going to change in the way you communicate moving forward? Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. I read every word, and your story might just help someone else too. And if this video brought you value, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next inspiring episode. If you'd like to support this channel, feel free to click super thanks. Your generosity helps us keep creating meaningful content for you and others. Our next video will dive into a powerful topic you won't want to miss. The #1 secret to earning respect without demanding it. Seniors must know this. So make sure to come back and join us. We've got so much more to discover together. And always remember, you deserve a life filled with love, respect, and joy. Never stop seeking those small, beautiful moments to connect, to love, and to live fully every single day. Thank you for being here with me today. I'll see you in the next video.